it's not bad to reach out to people because it really helps to have someone else talk to you even during these social distancing times.
Greetings all and welcome to Cochise Convos, a podcast dedicated to sharing your stories and information about Cochise College. This is episode 4 of Cochise Convos Quarantine Edition, where we will be listening to your stories as students and alumni and how you've managed to adjust during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, my guest is Alexis Pareda, who's a chemistry major at Cochise College, and today she's going to be sharing her experience and embarking on a new field while adjusting to online learning during the lockdown. Alexis, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure. So in general, how has quarantine been for you? And are you quarantined with anyone or are you by yourself?
I'm quarantined with my family because I live with my parents and my sisters. It's been busy because we've been trying to get family activities all the time to keep the time going and stop thinking about what's going on outside.
That's great. That's definitely, I guess, it's depending on your situation, could be both a perk and something that's a little bit annoying is having so much family time.
Oh, yeah.
But that's fantastic. I'm glad you guys are able to find things that you can do together. So generally, as a giant overview, and this can come from either your academic life or personal life, your professional life, what has been the biggest challenge for you during quarantine?
Definitely having to try to find things to do with my time because I'm used to like going to school and picking up my sisters and having a routine. So I had to find a new one. So that was really hard for me, but it came out in the end, which was nice.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely because you don't realize how much like accumulatively your travel time just from like place to place.
Oh yeah, I was constantly out of the house and then I was stuck inside, so it was really hard.
Just like, no, I can't go outside.
Oh
Are
yeah.
you more like introverted or extroverted or ambiverted or?
I think I'm ambiverted because I love going out, but I get so exhausted.
I know how you feel, girl. Same here. Ambiverts unite.
Yes, let's go.
So definitely that is challenging because it's like you don't get, like you do get some energy, correct me if I'm wrong, you get like some energy when you do interact with people, but like after a while, it's like, okay, I need to go back inside and like recharge.
Yeah, for sure. There's those times where I just want to be alone and others where I need people around me.
It's like I need a balance of people and like also by myself.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely challenging because we've had a few people on the show who are both extroverts and some who are introverts. So I'm glad we were able to have you on the show because you bring such a great insight, and especially with your degree program, I wanted to ask you some questions about that as well. And speaking of academics, how did you adapt your study habits or your workspace to accommodate during the quarantine? Was there anything that you did special to make it more like kind of trick your brain in the sense like, okay, I'm doing schoolwork now or work?
Oh, for sure. I definitely had to change up like my desk setup because it was usually just set up for homework. But now that I had to like actually do classes and notes, I had to make sure to clear every distraction I had because I am horrible at doing things on my own.
I'm the same way. It's like, oh, it's like for me, I like try to chuck my phone into like the other room. You're like,
Oh yeah.
like I can't deal with this now.
Oh, that was definitely me.
That's hard because in our digital age, we're just surrounded by, constant stimulus and distraction. So that's challenging
Oh, it's
aspect.
definitely a big part of my family and what we do every day. So it was hard to like separate those two.
Try to like peel them apart.
Yeah, like go charge my phone in the kitchen. I'll be in my room.
It
was so hard.
It's so hard. Like physically, I can't reach it, so we're good.
Yeah, it had to be out of my arm reach distance.
Hey, it works though. I mean, has it ever not been effective?
Exactly.
Alrighty, that's great. So definitely during COVID, there's time for self-reflection, and we are currently out of quarantine, but we are still social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned in your bio how you recently changed your major from interior design to chemistry, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. So what motivated you to make that change?
It was definitely a lot of sitting down and talking with my mom, especially because I see interior design as a good hobby of mine because of how much me and my family have moved. And I've always been interested in the sciences and stuff. So that seemed more of a job field for me and something I would enjoy more than interior design, where I would have to look at people's visions and do it instead of my own.
That is true, because in interior design, from my limited knowledge of the field, you have to kind of not only create an image and stylize a space, but you also have to work around what the client wants to, and it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of truly express that vision. But chemistry, though, I mean, you can have a lot of fun with that.
I've always been interested in like that kind of stuff, especially forensic chemistry. The crime is like where my passion lies.
That is so cool. Tell me a little more about that. How did you get that interest?
It all started off with like a lot of documentaries, and so I watched a lot of the ones that were on Netflix, and then my mom took a forensics class and she would show me all the stuff, and I took a forensic class in high school, and that's when like I officially knew that's what I love to do.
That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Is that why you have the minor in forensics for your degree that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, because in order to be like a forensics, you have to take criminal justice, and criminal justice has always been something I loved, like the law and what makes up what crime is and stuff.
So definitely, as a chemistry major, I did want to ask you some COVID questions.
Of
Have they
course.
talked about COVID as an example in any of your classes, and how did they describe it to you guys, or what kind of perspective did they take?
So I've taken one chemistry class, and he definitely made sure to like remind us and bring up the COVID and make sure that we take like our precautions and stuff. But he never really went in depth about it. So because we were just general chemistry students.
What would you recommend for people to stay safe, whether it be distancing yourself, or any sanitation tips you would have, or PPE, personal protective equipment?
So since we are out of quarantine but still social distancing, I would still take it very seriously. And if you do feel sick, make sure to take those precautions, like take medication that you think you need, even if it's just basic flu medicine. Anything can help, because my family personally, we take zinc every day because it's an immune booster, and like vitamins. But always wash your hands, and I see a lot of people wearing gloves, but what people don't understand is it's not really protective if you're not using them right, like wearing them and touching everything, and then your phone, which you're going to go touch without gloves, it's not quite protecting you anymore. I would say just wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. You make sure to wear the right mask, because I know that there's a mask that isn't protecting all that much. So I would make sure just to know what you're using and if you're using it properly.
Good. So would you recommend, like, if you were someone to wear gloves, how would you recommend using them in a way that they're effective?
Instead of, changing out your gloves every time you touch an item or something, I would refrain from touching any personal items of yours. So like if you're going to use gloves at the store, use it for just the cart and just the items you're touching. If you're touching any food products, though, I would make sure to go wash those at home and stuff before you use them. So refrain from touching your keys, your bags, your phone before taking off the gloves.
It's like, oh, let's spread a little bit to our phone. Let's spread a little bit to our keys and our wallet.
Exactly. And there was no point in using the gloves.
But thank you for sharing that, because I think there isn't a whole lot of articles talking about how to not only just use PPE, but also to effectively use it, because there's often a lot of misuse. So thank you for sharing your insight on that. That's very valuable.
Of course.
So we're going to shift gears a little bit into a kind of compare and contrast. Overall, and generally from your experience, what have been some of the positives and negatives of social distancing and also our quarantine period?
Definitely some positives is I get to spend a lot of family time and like get to know my family a little more than I thought I knew. And we've been doing a lot of venting sessions, which has actually helped all of us with our mental health. Being stuck in the house together, you don't realize some of the things that goes on. So it's really nice to be able to like not only spend your time alone, but also get to be closer with the people you're quarantined with. But at the same time, it's really horrible that I can't, go see the friends that I love and we share things together. So It's been really hard.
I can imagine. I'm glad though you talked about mental health, because it's definitely when you don't have the distractions like, oh, I got to drive to go to school, or oh, I got to go to work. You
Yeah.
definitely have a lot more a lot more focus. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. It's probably a combo of both. I'm glad you mentioned that. And do you find with your family, when you guys get to talk to each other, does that help you guys process your feelings better, or is there other outlets you resorted to help with that?
It was a combination because me and my family are very close, which is a given, and I'm so thankful for that. But it helped us all understand each other more and kind of calm nerves. And it was a really great outlet because your family are some of the people that know you the best. So they were able to, help since they were around you all the time, which was really nice.
That's wonderful, and it's great to be able to further strengthen that bond and be like, yeah, woo, family time.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you have any strategies or coping mechanisms you use for being able to still socialize with your friends or extended family during social distancing or quarantine?
A lot of Zoom calls because, it's one way to be able to actually talk face to face, but not quite with the risk of having it or whatnot. So, like during birthdays or holidays, me and my extended family or friends would Zoom call because it was one way we could actually talk to each other than through, words on a screen.
Exactly, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I guess you can only type LOL and LMAO so many times before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
With social distancing and around this time, a lot of academic institutions are starting to make decisions of whether to open up their campuses and to hold classes in person or whether to do online courses. Taking that all into account, what would be your suggestions for how we should proceed with education post-quarantine?
I definitely think we should still take precautions with PPE and stuff like that and make sure that everyone's doing it correctly, of course, so that we can minimize spread since there's still some cases. I think the way the college is going about it, making sure there's distance within the classrooms and keeping online a really big thing is really good. Because for those students who, still fear going out into public with a bunch of students, it really helps. And I think that it would be great if, lower education such as high schools, middle schools kind of did the same thing. But I know it was really hard for my high school sisters to focus online rather than in class. So I think just taking all the precautions we can to ensure everyone's safe and whatnot.
And precautions, like you mentioned, how with our college we're having the class size reduced by a third, so that way we can ensure proper social distancing. Do you think that when it comes to PPE, should it be something still open for choice, or do you think those who choose to go into class, or should they be required to wear it?
I feel like it's a mixture. If you're willing to, I guess, take the risk, as people like to say, and go without protection, such as a mask, it's kind of your choice in the end. I think it should be heavily recommended where people are pushed more to wear those protections and stuff rather than just going head on.
Exactly, because it's protecting others as well as it is for protection for yourself. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for sharing that. So, Lex, it has been wonderful getting a chance to speak with you today. I have one more question before we wrap up. And that is, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling right now with social distancing and their academics?
Keep your head up. Always stay positive because I found that it's easier to get through hard things with a positive mind. And, I'm not saying like put on a face and stuff, but just make sure to, keep looking forward to the next day because it's always a new day once that clock hits 12. Yeah, and always reach out to people you can if you need help academically or your teachers. I know they're always more than willing to help. And with mental health, it's not bad to reach out to people and vent out those feelings you have because it really helps to have someone else talk to you even during these social distancing times, or a call, a Zoom call. They always help.
That's wonderful. Alexis, it has been a pleasure to get a chance to speak with you today. Thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. And thank you all, everyone who's been watching and listening along. If you like what you hear and like what you see, make sure to give us a thumbs up on YouTube and also drop a little subscribe tap on there. If you click the little bell icon, you will get post notifications. So you'll get notifications every time we post. Thank you all again for watching and hanging in there with us. Have a good one.